Okay, hey there guys. So today we're going to be doing the post-mortem of the HK B-25J that was released just last year. So this was a build I finally just pushed across the finish line, and it's one that I've always gotten a ton of questions about, and so I figure why not try to reboot my modeling YouTube channel and have the first video be probably the kit I'm A, most proud of finishing, but B, the kit I've had a lot of questions about. So I've kind of got some bullet points going with this, and the first one is, so in this one you're not really going to be seeing my face very much when we're looking at all the pictures I got of this when it was done, and that's because I'm currently in a hotel room recording this video. I'm currently away for work at the moment, but I at least wanted to get my thoughts on the kit and let you guys know about them. Is the kit much easier to build compared to any other B25 out there in 1/48 scale? The quick answer is yes, big time. The Revell kit is so old and the molds are just been so used that the fit on those is not very good at all. Plus, you got to take into account your raised detail and just the technology that we have today to make more accurate kits allows you to have a way better build experience with the HK kit. Essentially, this kit builds up just like the 1/32 B25. The only differences I would say is that they simplified some of the areas on the 1/32 kit. So when it comes to the engines, those are simplified just down to a couple pieces rather than you building up the entire engine itself. Same goes for the engine cowls. Instead of having individual cowl panels, it is just all one solid piece that you just put on over top. But everything else is pretty much the same. You have the same wing interlocks that go into the fuselage. That makes this extremely easy to tear down into sub-assemblies. Makes it easy to kind of move around the bench while you're just painting it or weathering it or whatever. I suggest you leave the wings fully attached once you're done, as one, especially if you do a gear down scenario, because if you take the wings off, now you have the nose landing gear just jutting out along with all the other very delicate bits that are coming off the fuselage, and it's very hard to kind of find a way to hold this in some sort of fixture for transport. Rather than if they have the wings attached, you just can put some sort of clamps or anything like that on the outer wings. Well, there's nothing that can get harmed, and it's going to hold on very well. You don't even have to worry about filling in the gaps of the wing joints, because the way it mounts up, it's a clean mount, and there's minimal gap there at all. And the gap there is there, it can be taken up to being a panel line. The engines are extremely detailed for the size too. The pictures I have of this, the only details that I added to this engine was I did my own plug wires to it, and that's it. I'm dead serious. That is the only thing I did to this kit was add plug wires. The rest of this is just all straight out of the box. This does have more exterior details than the 1/32 kit does. The main things I kind of noticed with it, at least, was you have the bat antenna that goes on top of the glass nose. That was something that was missing from the 1/32 kit. And also you get the lower mast antennas. There's these two antennas that come out from the football, or to the left of the football if you're sitting in the cockpit. So the left side of the fuselage. Anyway, they're down there on the lower side, right by the nose gear bay. They jut out and they have two wires that run along them. That was something that I don't believe was included in the 1/32 kit. And the ones in the kit are pretty decent. They're a little chunky. at least for my taste. So I actually went in and designed and 3D printed new ones. So the ones you see in the pictures actually aren't the ones that are in the kit, but you do get those in the kit, so I at least wanted to throw it in there. Another big thing that was with the build of this is that actually the kit includes its own nose weight, which was it's a godsend. You don't have to deal with trying to find where to put all the nose weight at or anything like that. It's a pre-molded nose weight that goes into the nose gear area, and once it's in there, you can't see it. You don't see it at all, mainly because the nose gear has just such a small door that it doesn't really matter. So that was something that was really nice to see on this. So there were a couple drawbacks when it comes to this kit. Biggest one, it's one thing I always focus on when it comes to HK aircraft, the machine guns. I don't know what it is. I don't know what HK's using as their machine guns, but the details just there's a lot to be desired when it comes to those machine guns. There's a lot of mold lines on the barrels, and then also just the overall detail for the machine, like the actual 50 cals themselves, just they don't look very good. They don't look very convincing. And so that was actually something I went in and fixed when it came to this kit. Was I actually 3D designed my own M2 50 cals to put on this. So main area you'll see it at is in the nose section. I completely designed a new one to go there, mainly because I don't like how HK has it. You always set it up on like a stand, like they did in the 132nd kit. So what I wanted was the actual cradle mount that it sits in, which is a E13, I believe. And so I designed a 50 cal with that, with the correct charging handle and everything, and put that in there. And then also on the top turret, the machine guns that are in there are also my design. And same goes for the barrels. I also 3D printed, designed and 3D printed my own barrels. This is something that you probably could get some nice machined barrels for, and it would just kind of like add that extra layer of detail to it. But at the same time, this is a 1/48 kit, so unless you're looking at it with the camera lens that I took pictures with this, you're really not going to see those details, I would say. So it's not like a necessity. So one thing I didn't notice was actually for the greenhouse canopy, I'll call it, for the nose section, I was missing some detail when it came to the emergency escape panel window that is on the left-hand side of it. So there is supposed to be a red handle there that I actually had to go in and custom cut out around where that is and make sure it was there after during the painting process. The cockpit details aren't correct. The co-pilot seat is wrong. It's not supposed to be a full-size seat. It's actually about half that. Basically, just take the pilot seat and cut the backrest in half, and that's what the co-pilot seat is supposed to be. The gauge cluster in front for the cockpit is actually the gauge cluster out of a B-25B, not a B-25J. Alright, so now we're going to go into how I painted this, weathered it, and what I did. I weathered the wheels just with a series of oils along the sidewall, just to kind of weather up that black, give it a little bit more depth and color, and then went in with pigments and kind of mashed them into all the crevices and stuff. Just fixed it all down with pigment fixer, and maybe did a little bit more weathering with some oils here and there, but wanted to keep it just looking dry and just caked in. So the whole kit here is actually painted in with mostly MRP paints. So I based the model with, of course, black primer, and then went over it with initially K Colors aluminum. I then went over it, I did a little bit of hairspray over top, and then went over it with MRP's dark RAF dark green, and then once the hairspray was down, I actually went along the edges of where I freehanded the camo against the aluminum and just kind of chipped away. Went from having a very, very flared edge to a very nice hard edge, which I think looks a lot better. Afterwards, I went in and did a lot of oil-based rendering on top of the fuselage. I actually initially was going to do like a heavy chipped B-25 as the green was painted in the field. I believe it was like, oh, well, if it's a field paint job, it's not going to be very strong. So obviously the amount of dust and dirt they're flying through is going to cause some sort of just a lot of chipping along the wings and all the upper surfaces. But from looking at the references, this really didn't happen actually. In all the videos and pictures that I've seen of these B-25s, you don't see a lot of paint missing from the upper fuselage and the wings, other than the normal like wear areas when it comes to like the leading edge, or maybe a couple walkways you'll see like some chipping, but that's about it. The rest of it, the only weather you're really seeing is dust getting caked into all these upper surfaces, and of course exhaust staining along the top, but that's it. The propellers were painted initially just with a standard black, painted with the yellow tips and everything, and then actually what I did was went in and did an oil-based rendering on the propellers, starting from a like white to light gray, and eventually working myself all the way back up to black. It created this really nice deep effect on the propeller. I like how it came out. It allowed the decals to look more worn in, and then even when it came to the yellow tips, even those look worn out, I believe it looks just very correct for how a propeller would be weathering in the environment these flew in. I went along the leading edge with a silver pencil to just give it a little bit of shine. It's not something that came out as well as I thought it would, at least in the pictures, but I at least tried there. And the leading edge, I did some different weathering along the interior wing, inboard wing between the fuselage and the nacelles. The reason I did a different weathering style here was actually because I found videos of the ground crews when they would go to refuel the B-25s, they would actually just take the hose and drag it along that leading edge right there to get the filler nozzle up to the ports on top of the wing. So the last things I'll talk about what I added was, of course, I talked about how I added the 3D printed 50 cals to it and the barrels. Well, the only other things that I 3D printed were the mast antenna down below, which I mentioned earlier, and the liaison antennas that sit right behind the cockpit canopy. That's something that I never really see included in any B-25 kit out there. It's probably just because it's such a small antenna, it's not really ever thought about really. So I printed those out, and that's actually what the antenna wires go from the vertical stabilizers all the way up to the cockpit and attached to, is those little antennas there. It's not needed, but it was just like one of those small details that I just wanted to add. It just kind of pushes the detail a little bit further. But anyway, guys, that pretty much wraps this up. Really appreciate you guys listening to me, looking at the pictures of the finished build, and I hope this inspires you to go and get this kit. Would I build this kit again? Hell yeah, absolutely I would. I understand the price of it is a little high, but this kit is well worth it in the end. So anyway, guys, please stay tuned for more to come. I promise the next video where I talk about the build, I will actually be showing videos of me building it. This was just a sort of situation where I am trying to get back into this YouTube side of modeling, and just wasn't recording as I was building this. So anyway, guys, please take care. I'll see you in the next one.